There is no guarantee for success, but there are ways to get closer to it when you do the right things. Who you surround yourself with is just as important as what you do. Finding the right people, the right classes, the right activities, and taking the right tests are all decisions that shape your future. Find out more today on Destination University with Dr. Cynthia Colon. Dr. Colon and her guests will give you the tips you need, whether you're a student, parent, or educator. Now, here is your host, Dr. Cynthia Colon.
You're listening to Destination University, a podcast for college-bound teens and the parents, mentors, and educators who support them. If that is you, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Dr. Cynthia Colon, TEDx speaker, college admission strategist, and author of the book, Be Committed, Get Admitted. Welcome to Destination University. We help high school families successfully navigate the college admission process by helping students create an action plan, become interesting applicants, and write compelling essays that increase acceptance letters. As a former admission officer at Vassar College and an elite private school counselor in Los Angeles, I have coached, mentored, guided, and worked directly with over 10,000 students. I know what it takes to get admitted to top 100 colleges. As my gift to you, I'm revealing the exact admission committee process we used at Vassar. It's all in my new guide, 4 questions admission officers ask when deciding who to admit or reject. You can get that at drcynthiacolon.com/admit. In the guide, I share the 4 questions I used in the 12 minutes I had to review an entire application. I give you the order I read the application, what I was looking for, what I highlighted and took note of. If you've ever wondered what admission officers are looking for and how decisions are made, well, today is your lucky day. Again, go to drcynthiacolon.com/admit. Okay, let's get to today's episode. Welcome, everybody. We're so glad to have you here participating. And if you wanted to type into the chat, I think some of you have said where you are tuning in from. And April, recap for us. Who do we have here?
All right. So I was watching all these folks coming in. I'm assuming you don't mean me. But it was really, Marcella, we've got lots of Californians here, some in my part of the state, some in yours, but also we've got some folks from Indiana, Kansas, Virginia. So we have a true national coverage here, just as we deserve.
That's right. So this week we are focused on Module 0, you all. And so I'm going to have our guests introduce themselves in just a second. But Module 0 is all about vision board and planning and just getting sort of the mindset. Many of you are just 5-6 months away from applying to college, and some of you are 2 years away from applying to college. But either way, getting the mindset, I really believe in that. That's why it's part of all the things that we do. And so these two are rock stars. So I'm going to pin you. And Marcella, why don't you go ahead and just kick us off by, where are you? Where did she
I'm here? Go? Maybe if I talk?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Let me show up.
I pin you. There we go. Okay. Awesome. Hi, Marcella. Marcella is a rock star from Chapman. She's the big head honcho over there. So share a bit about you and why you do what you do and how you go about sharing with others how to get in the right mindset.
Excellent. Well, hi, everybody. So excited to see so many faces. And I think I see Val has a little vision board behind her already and getting started. So good job, Val. My name is Marcella Mejia Martinez, and I am the Assistant Vice President of Admission at Chapman University. I've been doing college-related work for a little over 30 years. I started when I was 12. So that's about right. Not only have I obviously worked with students from all over the globe, I've worked specifically with transfer students over the years, non-traditional students obviously that are coming from high school as well. So it's a great joy to really help students on their journey through the college search process. It's a lot of fun. One of the things that I definitely always kind of come back to is this idea that the work that we do in college admissions is very relational. The idea that I get to have relationships with young people and their parents, and then also with the high school counselors on the other side of the desk, and a lot of the independent counselors and the different community-based organizations, that really is an enriching part of what I do. I was first to go to college. I was the first gener. My parents immigrated to the United States a number of years ago, and college was always something that they wanted for my siblings and myself, but they definitely didn't know how to go about it. And so much of it, we figured out kind of on our own, myself, my brother, my sister, my little cousins that came later. And it really was a transformative time of my life, so much so, and loved my experience both as an undergrad and a lifelong learner. And so for me to be able to have college be something that young people think about for their next step is really inspiring. And I want to be a part of that journey. I think that's important. I think one of the pieces of advice that you'll probably hear from a lot of folks that talk to you about the college going process is the idea of making those tight connections with folks on the college side and with your high school counselors and with the folks that are really wanting to inspire you to think about what you want these next 4 years to look like. What is it that you want to get out of it? What is it that you want to study? What is it that you want to become? What are the relationships you want to make? All of it is just kind of that beginning of your next journey into adulthood. And that's a really exciting time. So hopefully it's about you learning a little bit more about yourself and us really being a part of that journey with you.
Love that. Thank you so much for that introduction.
Sure.
I'm going to turn it to April and have you share a bit about yourself, and then we'll take some questions on the mindset and planning. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. So my name is April Crabtree. I'm the Vice Provost for Strategic Enrollment Management at the University of San Francisco. And prior, I've been at USF for 9 years. And prior to that, I was at a small liberal arts college in Florida for 7 years. And I have the absolute pleasure of knowing Marcella for, we don't even know how many years now, because we have worked together a lot in international admission and recruitment. We've been all around the world together. And then even right here locally in California. So I had the absolute pleasure of being on a panel with Marcella a couple of weeks ago. So was delighted that I saw that we are going to be together again. But when I think about, we talked a little bit about it in our session about our why, that feels really relevant. And all I've ever really wanted to do is to get more students to college and help them find their way and find the thing that makes them happy. We have to work for so much of our life, and we know that this is such a great part of that experience that we're going to have to set us up to not only learn a subject, but to learn how to be with people and to learn how to live with and work with people who are different than we are and who think differently. And we just get to stretch and grow in so many different ways. And also, like Marcella, I was also a first generation college student. I'm from semi-rural Tennessee. And it was going to college quite literally changed my life. And being able to meet people from places that I'd never even heard of, and to, I first went out into the world when I was in college. So those things are important to me. So now, 15 plus years later, I think about the work that I do. And I love talking to students and finding out, what is your dream? What is your vision? What brings you your joy? What makes you light up? So I love helping students explore that. But at the same time, I feel like that I have this unique privilege to be able to also help families find calm and to keep the process joyful as it should be, because there's going to be stressors in it. But I think for Marcella and I both, we've done this long enough. We want to speak to both of you. We know that this is a family decision. It's changing everything in all of your lives. So I am really excited for this particular module, because I think this is something we don't spend enough time talking about. We're like, right, where are you going to apply to college? And we forget that we want to explore a little personally. What gets us going? What do we like? What do we not like? Do you see yourself in the sun at Chapman, or you want to be a skier in Missoula? Like what's going to give you your joy in your life? So when you find that fit. So what a great way to kick off this process is to create vision.
So good, you guys. Awesome. Well, you guys, if you have questions, you can just simply unmute yourself. We're all in the family here. Or actually, April or Marcella, do you have a question you want to throw out to the audience?
I think that part of this process, like I mentioned, and I think April, you're echoing, is this idea of self discovery. I think that's why it's so exciting to work with you all at this age, at this point in your life, as you're heading into higher ed and thinking about what it is that you want to do. So many of the questions that I think you should kind of frame yourself around is this idea of like 3 reasons why,
Hello.
3
How are you?
reasons that I want to study what I want to study, 3 reasons why I want to go to a particular place or time. This idea of vision boarding isn't necessarily to be like, I dream of X college, and that's going to be the only thing on my vision board. I think you have to go way wider than that and manifest so many other things instead. And so much of it has to do about academics and location, but also the types of people you want to surround yourself with. And so to get organized and asking yourself a lot of those reasons why, and if you can really find like 3 reasons why this particular school's on your list, then continue to explore and ask really good questions. I think that that's really important. So place and major, obviously that's kind of the foundation of so much of what it is that you're looking at. But even that environment in terms of place, it includes a really large institution versus a smaller type place. And I'm sure, Cynthia, you've had many of the students already start to think about these things, but back everything up with 3 reasons. I think that that's always, it's funny because even when we're in decision making, give me 3 reasons why you're saying yes, or 3 reasons why you're saying no, is one of the things that I really lead my team to think about, because you can really back it up with a little bit more bite than just I've heard of it and it looks great and they won the last basketball March Madness game, right? Like it has to be way more than that. Go a little deeper.
That's really good advice. I like that. 3 reasons. I typed a couple little notes there, you guys in the chat. April, what would you add to that in terms of that mindset and planning and visioning?
I think some of it just really this builds so nicely. Marcella and I should have rehearsed this because it actually works really well. But I was thinking about the questions that you ask yourself. And so it's really again very related. And as you're trying to envision, what does it look like to you on a Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock when you're on your way to class? What does that look like? What does that feel like? What class are you going to? What kind of, you're going to go sit down. What kind of space is that? What kind of professor is teaching you? What are you getting out of it? So what is that feeling? What does that look? Those sorts of things. What do you envision yourself doing on a Thursday night before an exam? Right? Where are you studying? Who are you studying with? What kinds of things are you doing? Are you popping down to your favorite coffee shop, or is that happening right on campus? And that's starting to fill in some of your criteria as well. What is it like on a Saturday night? Let's be honest, like we have social lives and you want to be a social person, and who are you hanging out with? Are you doing more kind of a res hall lounge thing, or are you going out to a concert? Like what does your Saturday look like? What is Sunday at noon? What does those look like? So if you think about these different points, it's going to start to help build around this concept of where you want to go. And you're going to find that there's going to be some synergy in those. And that's going to lead you towards the kinds of institutions to look at.
Yeah, another thing in terms of that self-discovery is think about your top values. I think that that's something that's also important. And you might start out with a list of 10 things that are really important to you, narrow it down to your top 5, and then stick to those top 3. What are those values that are important to you that center in your life, whether that's friendships or hugely academic and competitive spirit, or more of a collaborative type space. Those things will help you not only in your writing and what it is that you're saying about yourself, but reflecting back on the missions of a lot of the universities and the things that are important to them, or departments that you're looking at. You will find that when you meet our tour guides, when you meet the representatives that come and talk about our particular schools and colleges, you'll start to kind of see some traits or some characteristics about a place. And you have to kind of feel do those resonate with you? Are those important to you? And values don't always mean religion. I mean, values can mean so many other things. And so I think that those things are, again, part of the self-discovery, but also maybe help maybe a school come off your list that you originally wanted. And then you start to really look and be like, that's a really competitive place. And it doesn't seem very collaborative. And I'm a collaborative person. Or I'm okay with a classroom of 500, or I need a classroom of 25. Like these, again, is going to be different for every person on the screen in terms of that experience that they really want to have. April said something about having gone to school with students from places she'd never heard of. That to me is so exciting. And we as admissions geeks are, we want to say we have all 50 states represented and over 80 different countries or whatever that looks like. But it's because we really want the students that could choose a USF or a Chapman to have those experiences inside and outside the classroom. And you're going to have friends from Dubai and you're going to have friends from different parts of South America, whatever that might be. We want to expose students to different ways of thinking and living and learning. But not every university has that same value. There are universities that are extremely faith-based and have you sign a commitment of faith. And maybe that's the type of place that you want to be at. And so again, going back to values and the characteristics and traits of a particular university, it's interesting that many universities have a personality. And so to kind of suss that out, I think is important.
So good. One of the things that we do in module 4, I want to say, you guys, is the speed dating. And I show you how to look up like the core values of a school, of a college. Do they align with your core values? So I always say, like, find colleges that align with your values, but also maybe push you beyond your values, where you currently are and where you aspire to be 4 years from now. Think about that. So
Cynthia, that's such a great point though, too, because I think, some of what college is supposed to do is to make you in a safe way feel a little uncomfortable. Really have to look at something that you thought that you held as an absolute truth and say, I didn't think about it that way before. And so that discomfort is actually productive and that's really good. And that's why you're going to college. You're not just there to learn biology. You learn to think differently and to expand the way that you're doing that. And, to this point here, finding a place that's going to push you a little bit,
I love that.
out of your comfort zone in a safe way where you're going to be challenged and you can challenge others because that's your role too. It's not just, what you're going to get from others. It's people are going to learn from you as well. And you've got a lot to bring onto these college campuses.
awesome. Guys, okay, I'm going to let you guys ask some questions. If anyone, you can just use the emojis to raise your hand. I can call on you, or you can type it into the chat. Let's see. Mark, I see you. You usually have questions. Okay, you can think of a question. I know this is our first module, so you're getting warmed up to how we roll here, but we roll just like family. It's all good.
It's okay because Marcella and I both have children. So we are very patient. We can sit and wait as long as you need us to.
I have a question. It's Jordan. I was wondering when you talk about university having a personality, when you're there visiting, you're there for a short time. Any suggestions on the best ways to determine what that personality is during a visit or post-visit?
If you have a chance, if you're not packed in doing tour after tour after tour, sit in a piazza, sit in the middle of campus and watch the students interact. I think that that's something that's really important. I challenge students to do that on our campus all the time. Go up to students in the student unions and ask them questions. Look to someone that looks a little friendlier or not too stressed about what it is that they're working on at that moment. Even when you're in line at the Starbucks or the sandwich place on campus, I think you'll find that students want to share about their place and where they're at too, and they have a lot of pride in the schools that they're going to for the most part. And so I think that that's important. One of the things that I challenge students that choose a Chapman is that their faces aren't in their phones as they're walking across campus. And that's a very Chapman-esque thing. I don't think that happens everywhere. Students are actually recognizing each other, saying hello to each other, the hugs, the hellos, the across the piazza. That's very much our vibe, but that's not the right place for everybody. And so you'll see it. I think it becomes really evident. Whereas at other places, people might be in a real big hurry and they're paced to move to the next place, and there isn't a lot of recognition of each other. And again, that's could be a vibe for a lot of places.
Yeah, I think you get a lot of your texture in organic places. If the idea of just going up to someone you don't know and trying to start a conversation makes you a little little nervous. I think Marcel and I are admission people. We can talk to anybody. But if you're not there yet, one of the other ways you can do this is that often in many, many spaces on campus is lots of kind of bulletin boards with clubs that are talking about what they're going to do. And I actually get a lot of inspiration for when I talk to students by going up and down and looking at all the events that are on campus. And that's also, I think, a good way to get a sense of what's going on at a different time of year. And any of, to Marcel's, but any of those places that students come together naturally. So it's, classroom is very fixed, right? Like you need to be there at a certain time. So you can see interactions there, but some of the better ones, are two people who are just sitting around on the grass because it's a nice day, and you're going to get a sense from them as well. And then even maybe going a little bit off campus, depending on the way it's built, and then seeing how far kind of the student or the campus reach is in terms of community. So when we're at USF, we can go in multiple directions, partially because San Francisco is small, and I see our pennants all over the place, right? So this is a place where USF students go because you see our stuff there. And that's another way to see, okay, what is their life like beyond the campus community? And you can get to see that. And I think that's actually a great question to ask your tour guide as well,
Mhm.
is to get the on-campus, off-campus, what's the vibe? Like, where do people go? What do you do this weekend? Those are good ways to start filling in some of those.
Well, thank you, April. Thanks, Marcella. Very, very
Yeah.
good answers. Thank you.
Ooh, this is a good question from Mark. Do you, as admission officers, particularly look for certain values that align with your school's mission statement? How do I know what to align my core values theme of my essay with the best fit with a school?
Question.
So that's a great question. That's getting at those of you who are rising seniors. It's what we call the why this school, why this college, why us question that tends to be on everyone. So can you just offer a bit of advice for each of you on how you advise students on how to go about answering that, so without sounding like everybody else?
April, do you want
Uh,
to start?
Sure. Actually, it's a little bit easy, a little bit more straightforward, because that's actually one of our supplemental questions. Is essentially, USF is a Jesuit institution, so this idea of being people for others is really important. That we do things with one another in a spirit of an accompaniment. There's a lot of values pieces that are in there. So our question quite literally asks students, how do you see yourself fitting in as a part of this? And when we're reading it, we're looking for some sort of sense that they understand that there's a responsibility to being a college educated person, right? Only, I think, 3% of people in the world have a college degree. So you're embarking on on a trajectory that's going to put you in a position to do so many amazing things, and want to know, do you have a sense of that? Do you, what are you thinking you want to do? We want you to do well for yourself. We want you to do good for the world. And that's what we're trying to see in this very short answer to see, are you for yourself and for others at the same time?
Great.
Yeah. And you're going to hear the word holistic review, I think, a lot. This is some admissions jargon and some words that we use. But I think universities that use the words holistic, where it's not just a formula, I think that CSUs, it's pretty obvious that, and they come straight out and they say that there's a bit of a formula in terms of a GPA to get in, or at least to be eligible for a CSU. A lot of universities that do holistic review will lift up this idea of as Cynthia said, the you plus me equals a perfect fit kind of thing. Many of our universities do look for some core traits or values in a variety of different ways. And we see it in your letters of recommendation, how you've spent your time through your activities list, what it is that you're hoping to do while you're in college, what you want to study, what you want to get involved with. So this research that you're doing about each of the schools that do hit your list, I think it's important. I go back to the 3 reasons why. What are the 3 things that Chapman has to offer that you really want to be a part of? And that could be everything from Team Shaka, the dance troupe, to getting involved with Girls That Code. I don't know what it is, but whatever the 3 things that really align with you, you've researched it. We know, we have it. These are the things that you're hoping to get involved with. That's telling me, that's layering more of who you are and who you want to become. That it really helps me. Some universities come straight out and tell you, if you look at Swarthmore College's admissions page, and I'm going to steal a beat from them because this is something I want to build out on ours. They spell it out. They tell you exactly what those core values are and what makes a successful student at Swarthmore. At Chapman, we operationalized this when we went test optional. We knew in our gut the type of student that would succeed at Chapman. But then at the point where we went test optional, we really operationalized these traits of growth and empathy. And there's these certain characteristics that are really important for making you successful. And we ask these questions of deans and associate directors and folks at the different areas of study. What makes a successful Chapman student? We know academics are important. That's one thing, but what else? And so we talk about it and we call it SAPI. And it stands for self-advocacy. It stands for this idea of, again, empathy, the idea of open-mindedness and growth. And so we will spell it out for you. And so I think a lot of universities are starting to really put this a little more upfront. But you could ask the admissions counselors when they come visit your school, or if you're doing a virtual visit and you have an admission counselor there, they could definitely speak to it too. And again, I go back to this idea of, there's some campuses that are super competitive. There are others that are more collaborative. What's more important to you in that space? We have a really top-notch film school at Chapman, and it's really difficult to get into. Their admit rate's like 7 or 8% every year for particular programs within the film school. And one of the things that we really lift up is that our film school is not competitive, it's collaborative. And so if you're the type of student that's like, only choose me, it's only about my project, it's only about it, that comes out a lot in the applications. And that student would do better at a different type of place, but not necessarily at a Chapman. We want students that will, when there's a project and we need a grip, or we need someone to help with editing and sound, or we need someone to come and help in these different spaces, you're always the one to raise your hand and be a part of a project. And so we look for that in those letters of rec and in the different pieces of your application.
Love it.
I just want to say something to Mark here. I think it's worth lifting up that Mark used the word align twice. And I think that this is particularly important because this is exactly what you're looking for, is alignment. You're not, if you ever say, well, I guess I could be like that, not a great fit for you. Don't change the core, the essence of who you are because of a name or a building or something like that. So this idea of alignment, I hope you will keep that through your whole process, because that's what you're looking for. You're looking for match. You're looking where my energies and your energies are going to cross over to create synergy. This is it right there. So I loved this right here of seeing this come up not once but twice. It's like, how do I align my essay with this? How do I look for values that align? And that, hold on to that, please, because I think that's going to make your process in many ways so much easier.
Oh my gosh, this is great. I want to be mindful of your time because I promised 30 minutes on yours. But I want to also, and we also, those of us are going back to essay camp in just a minute. I want to give each of you just a quick, what's your, I don't know if you have a 1-minute spiel, but what's your spiel for your school? I want you to be able to give your shameless plug on Chapman and on USF, and I selected you guys for a reason. So love both schools. So Marcella, go ahead.
Yeah, I just say that we are a campus located in Southern California between Los Angeles and San Diego in the city of Orange, medium in size with about 10,000 students. We are a place that does a lot of real serious work, but we don't take ourselves too seriously. That's definitely something that's really important. I've used the word collaborative a lot, and I think you'll find that our students are definitely student leaders. We have 11 different colleges on campus, everything from the arts to engineering to business to the humanities and social sciences. So, definitely a place where students can study and really grow into who they want to become. And you'll find that our tour guides are very much in the intersection of that growth, but marrying different types of majors and programs of study. So many of our students are double majors, double minors, and really curious young people.
Love it. Okay, April.
All right. So when I talk to students, I tell them to remember three big things about USF. One is the location matters. And so where we are, being right in the middle of San Francisco, is a big part of the personality of the university and a big part of the experience. So I've always loved that students talk interchangeably about their life on campus and their life as a San Franciscan. So I think that's very much, it gives you a sense of who that is, that spirit of innovation, that idea of, what's coming next, and to be, adventurous and explore and to really use everything that there is in the city. The second is USF is the most diverse institution in the country. So we both, I think, have talked about the part of college is going and being influenced and inspired by people who are different than you. And this is something that I think USF does particularly well. The third one I touched on is there's my cat, is the Jesuit values. And this is a big piece of this as well. So it's the heart-centered piece. And I love this about USF students, the sense of being change makers. They want to see the world. They see the world as it could be. And then they are really aligning their work to make that happen. So we're most known for our nursing program. I just wanted to highlight two things. One, we started a neuroscience program this year. So we have enrolled our first cohort in that for the fall. We're starting a new biotechnology. And then we've just moved to a direct entry for our 4+1 programs. So this is a fabulous way to come to USF, do an accelerated 5-year program to get both a bachelor's and a master's degree in about 5 or 6 areas.
April, did you say nursing?
Yes, I did.
Okay, Grace, there you go, girl. Grace is in our essay camp right now.
All right.
All right. Well, go ahead and unmute yourselves and let's give let's hear your round of applause for our guests, our exclusive guests. Unmute yourselves. Yay! Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ladies, it's been a pleasure as always. We're in cohort 5, just getting started with our cohort as the summer starts. And I think we're going to see some of your other representatives from your team and other sessions. So great way to kick off this week. You guys, yeah, give some shout outs in the chats as we exit here for today. Just thank our guests and give us our nice warm snaps.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you all. Good luck. Have fun.
I'll be sure to get you their information, their emails.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Cologne.
All right. You guys are
Looking
welcome.
forward to talking to you soon.
All right. Those of you in essay camp will log out and log back into the other link. All right. Bye, ladies. Thank you so much. Here's the truth. For nearly 30 years, I have worked at elite private colleges and/or private high schools. I know what well-resourced families do to ensure college success, and I can tell you, if your child is enrolled at a public or religious high school, chances are she or he is already 5 steps behind. However, today is your lucky day. To get you ahead of your private school peers, I have a gift for you. I'm revealing the exact admission committee process we used at Vassar. It's all in my new guide. 4 questions admission officers ask when deciding who to admit or reject. You can go to drcynthiacolon.com/admit to get your copy. I share the 4 questions I used in the 12 minutes I had to review the entire application. If you've ever wondered what admission officers are looking for and how decisions are actually made, you're not alone. Take action now to get 5 steps ahead and begin increasing those acceptance letters. Again, that's Dr. Cynthia Coulon, DrCynthiaCoulon.com/admit. That is all I have for you today, my friends. Thank you for tuning in to Destination University. I'm Dr. Cynthia Coulon. If this episode has in any way helped, fueled, or inspired you, please share this episode with 3 people in the next 30 minutes. You can subscribe to Destination University wherever you get your podcast. And while you're there, leave us a review. It sure does help a lot. By subscribing and reviewing, you help to grow the community of informed families across the nation. And if you haven't binge listened to our previous seasons, do it. With each episode, you'll learn a new tip, trick, or strategy for success. Start with episode 1, the one word every parent should remove. You'll learn my mom's secret to ensuring college success for her daughters. And once again, if you found value today, please share this episode with 3 families in the next 30 minutes. I'll be sure to see you next week, same time, same place. Until then, wherever you are, may you have a happy and sunny day. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for listening this week to Destination University. Be sure to join Dr. Cynthia Coulon again and get one step closer to your success.